So I'm going to let Kathleen take the wheel and start us off today with her presentation, basically that is going to talk about how to attract and engage visitors with Instagram. And just so you know, in the meantime, there might be a few more people that join in.
Okay.
So if I just hop in to let them into the call, I won't try to steal it away from you, but sometimes I got to hop in and out and let people in, or if you see that button, you can just allow them.
Okay.
So, but feel free to get started. And like I said, I'll be monitoring questions for everyone.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for the introduction, Sarah. I'm Kathleen McCafferty. I am a social media manager, content writer, and PR specialist here at JB Media Group. So we're going to talk about Instagram today and how to attract and engage your visitors with Instagram. I thought we'd go through some stats just to begin. So Instagram has more than 700 million active users. More than 80% of Instagram users follow at least one business. I know I follow several. Every month, over 120 million Instagrammers engage with brands in actionable ways by visiting their website, messaging, calling, or emailing, etc. So obviously you want followers and you want them to engage with your brand. You want to really think about being yourself and branding yourself on Instagram. Think about the story you want to tell and consider questions such as, who are your customers? Who are your competitors? Make sure you follow them. Who do you want to reach? What is your style and brand personality? What sort of images best convey your brand story and personality? You want to be consistent with your messaging and use the best photographs you have or can find. So in Instagram, good photography is everything. The more compelling your photos, your content, the more followers you will gain and keep. So there are different tips and tricks to grow your audience and expand your reach on Instagram. Now you can try to follow all of the best practices, or you can pick the ones that work best for you. So I'm going to take us through some different examples of local businesses who are posting, and we'll look at some of these different posts and determine how and why they're successful. Okay, so this first example is from Whole Donuts. If you're not local to the area, I'll just let you know Whole Donuts is an amazing artisanal donut shop in West Asheville. They have a pretty good following. They've got over 6,000 followers on Instagram. So their donuts are really simple. They're kind of rustic, they're handmade, and their photos are of the same flavor. They're really simple, clean composition showing their signature handmade donuts. So they posted this photograph a couple of days ago highlighting a new donut flavor. And you'll notice in the post that they tagged their employee who created this flavor, but they actually didn't include any hashtags. Now, as you're probably aware, hashtags are a way to make your account more discoverable and connect to the communities that you want to connect to on Instagram, and you can use up to 30 of them in a single post. Now, Whole could have tagged this post with hashtags such as donut or hashtag Asheville Eats or 28 other relevant popular hashtags, but they didn't, and yet this post performed really well. So how is that so? Well, first and foremost, it's a great photo. Whole also has a strong brand identity, and their followers are loyal. So their followers already know the brand, and they're responding to an image that's really strong. When you scroll through your Instagram feed, you're going to be struck by high quality images first, and this is a pretty and striking photo. So they clicked heart, wouldn't you? Here's the thing though. Posts that contain at least one hashtag average about 13% higher engagement than posts without any hashtags. And as I mentioned, you can use up to 30 hashtags in a single post. So while the whole post was successful due to the allure of the image, it could have had greater reach if they'd used hashtags. I recently tried an experiment with a social account that typically only uses 2 to 3 hashtags per post. I posted 20 hashtags in a single post on that account. And that image got about 4 times the engagement, likes, and comments as the other images on the feed. So I've seen how powerful relevant tagging can be. Okay, so here's another example I wanted us to take a look at. Now, in this post, you'll see only one hashtag. This is the account for the Biltmore estate. They have over 77,000 followers on Instagram, and they post about 2 to 3 times a day. But here's the thing, they only ever use one hashtag in their posts, and that's hashtag Biltmore. They don't have to include other popular hashtags like hashtag visit NC or hashtag 828 is great, because they just don't have to. Their brand is so successful that their hashtag is super powerful. Hashtag Biltmore is a branded hashtag. A search for hashtag Biltmore brings up over 200,000 entries, and most of these are relevant to the Biltmore estates. So something else that I wanted to point out is that if you look at this post, you'll see they assign photo credit. There's that little photo emoji and then at the name of the photographer. So you can see that this is a photo from an Instagram user, and this is an example of user-generated content. User-generated content is essentially word-of-mouth marketing. It shows an authentic experience with your brand or destination, and it builds trust more readily than brand-generated content because it's coming from within the community. Studies show that user-generated content, like this photo used in this post, has higher levels of engagement than brand-generated content. So sourcing photography in this way is a really excellent way to find and use quality images that highlight or tie into your brand from other Instagram users. No longer do we have to do everything in-house. So you can search for hashtags related to your destination and the surrounding businesses and attractions, and you can curate the best photos to share the destination experience you want to showcase. In this particular example, this post sharing a photo by another Instagram user netted over 3,000 likes. This slide here shows you 3 screen captures from an account that we manage here at JV Media Group for Visit Cherokee, North Carolina. So I wanted to share this because if you're not using your insights, you really should. As you can see in the middle screenshot at the bottom, it shows the followers and how active they are for that given day. I ran this on a Tuesday. So you can see that around 9 o'clock at night, the Instagram followers were more active. And on the far right, you'll see a schedule of the week, Monday through Sunday. And you can see that on Wednesday, the followers are more active on that day. So you really want to take a look at your insights, and you want to post accordingly so that you're hitting those peak times to maximize your reach. So like the Biltmore, we use user-generated content for the Visit Cherokee, North Carolina Instagram account that we manage. And so, of course, we always assign photo credit to each photo. That's really important. I can't stress that enough. You want to respect the work of the photographers whose work you share, and you want to give them credit for their work in a way that's reciprocal. You can see in this simple post on the left that there's a photo credit line that tags the photographer. So in that way, they know that you're using their photo, and they can further engage with you. So for Visit Cherokee, we run about 90% user-generated content on Instagram. And looking at the Biltmore account, it looks like I think they run about 95% user-generated content. The screenshot on the right of the slide shows you the insights from the posts with the most engagement for the past year. And you'll notice it shows 9 posts that are the top 9 posts for user engagement. 7 out of those 9 posts were from using user-generated content. So I just wanted to show this to demonstrate that it really works. When I started managing the Visit Cherokee, North Carolina account, I began by searching for Cherokee, North Carolina to see what photos were out there using that hashtag. Then I searched the hashtags for all the attractions and events in town. And through my search, I started building a repository of user-generated content. Now it's really easy to save the images you stumble across by bookmarking them so that you can share them at a later date. So when I started posting for Visit Cherokee, North Carolina, I used the hashtag Visit Cherokee to reinforce the brand. Now that is our top branded hashtag for this account. And over time, the photographers that I was following and liking and commenting on their photos, which as you are probably all well aware is another best practice for Instagram, those photographers started using the Visit Cherokee hashtag. Now I can click on the photos of you section in the account and I can find some of the best photography from the area to share on the account. So this slide shows you that section, and these are all photos that other Instagram users have posted with the Visit Cherokee hashtag. Okay, so to close, I wanted to show an example of an account with a smaller following, but one that has high user engagement. This is a photo from La Zoom, and La Zoom is a comedy bus tour in Asheville. They only have 577 followers on Instagram. But this photo really captures their spirit. It conveys the kind of fun and hijinks you can expect to catch on the bus, and it also follows a lot of the Instagram best practices. So first and foremost, it's a fantastic photo. It's dynamic, colorful, and eye-catching. You can see at the top of their post, they tag their location, Asheville, North Carolina. So anyone who clicks on that location, it will pull from all of the posts that have been tagged with Asheville, North Carolina, helping to make a post like this even more discoverable. So you can see in the first comment, they tag the photographer for photo credit and they include a short, punchy caption. In the second comment, they include 26 relevant hashtags. You can see hashtag Asheville, hashtag Asheville, North Carolina, hashtag Visit Asheville, and so on. The last one you can see is hashtag La Zoom, so that's their branded hashtag. So the end result of this post is 81 likes, which is really excellent engagement from an audience of only around 570 followers. So this goes to show that you don't have to have a huge following or even have your own in-house photo assets in order to have a really successful post with high user engagement. Every post you build is one piece of your brand story, and over time, post by post, it will grow into a more fully realized narrative that your audience will start recognizing, connecting to, and interacting with. Thanks so much, guys. I look forward to hearing your questions.
Awesome. So we've got a few questions that came up, if we want to just address those real quick. Trey submitted a question. His question was, and it's actually a combination of a few questions. We can discuss this for a couple minutes, but it's, how do you lose followers? What do you want to avoid or is considered a faux pas for Instagram?
Yeah, so I would say first step, you really have to understand your followers. So if you lose those insights and you can take a look at the gender breakout for your audience, the age of your audience, the more you understand the audience, the more you can cater your tone, your language, and your photos that you're sharing to that audience. You can lose followers for a number of different reasons. I would say overposting might be one of the most common. I know in my personal Instagram account, when I have friends who are just blowing up my feed, post after post after post after post, I will tend to maybe opt out of looking at their content. So overposting, avoid that, best practice, depending on kind of the volume of what you're able to achieve. If you can post daily, that's great. 3 to 5 times a week. Just really keep it in the scope of what you're able to do, but don't overpost. Yeah,
I just want to say that's something that Justin and I talk about pretty frequently, is just the idea that with companies, if you overdo the content, it's not really relevant. That's typically when you see people just like unfollowing whatever you're saying, because they feel like you're filling up their feed with stuff that doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So, individual people, I think, are often unfollowed just because they're ranting or they're talking about things you don't want to hear about. But with companies, it's really about, is your message really valuable to them? And if it's not, they tend to remove you from the view. The other question that we've got coming through from Jacob is, can you talk a little bit about how this turns into sales or conversions of some kind? Like, what are Cherokee's goals or things like that, for things that, where they actually get something that actually an action from somebody that means something.
So for Visit Cherokee, we have some different goals. Our number one goal is really increase visitation, which can be, of course, challenging to tie back to an Instagram post, for instance. But what we can do is we can track through the social analytics how many people we are driving from Instagram over to the website. So of course we want to have people take action and click on the links in profile. So, of course we default to the main the homepage, the website on our profile bio, that one link that you can have in your bio. And if we're promoting an event or something special where we're sending folks over to a landing page, we update that link in the bio. So we can track and measure how many people are actually clicking over to those links from Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the key is to have the tracking set up so you can see when people come from Instagram to a site or to a landing page, and then from there make sure you've got Google Analytics set up.
Exactly.
So that it can track the actual conversion. So if I'm selling online, then I want to be able to track when they make a purchase in my cart. If I have them register for something, I want them to be able to track whether or not they registered. So making sure you understand that flow, Jacob, of where you want somebody to start from and where you're expecting a percentage of them will end in order to create a conversion. And some companies will have more than one conversion. So you want to make sure you've got that tracking system in place for all those different potential actions that you want people to take. I do want to throw out that with Instagram, one thing to keep in mind is it isn't a system that was built perfectly for driving people to other places. So there's no links inside of your actual post. Usually there's going to be a link in your profile, and you can change that up frequently to whatever you need it to be. But I do think it's important to remember that Instagram, out of a lot of the other social media sites comparatively, it isn't really set up to drive people to do much. It is very set up for engagement on the system and for getting your brand and your message in front of people. And the last thing I wanted you to just talk about, because this relates to this question, is essentially with stories. So one of the things that can happen with stories is essentially you can put a link attached to a story. And if you don't know what that is, it's essentially a separate piece of content that you create on Instagram that's sort of a live video feed that then, or picture that can then disappear 24 hours later. But if you're looking for conversions or sales, Jacob, stories can be a great tool to explore because it's going to give you the ability to attach a link to that. You just recently started doing this, so I just wanted you to share that really quick.
So, I'm managing this account at a distance, which can present some challenges for creating those live like video stories, for instance. But what I did just recently that was very successful is I just ran it was very simple and it only took me a few minutes. I ran a photo and put some text on the photo to remind our followers that one of our attractions was going to be closing in a few weeks. So that ran for about, I think, 5 seconds. And that single post alone had over 500 views. So I plan to use that more, especially around some of our event marketing, so that we can promote and get those reminders in for really key events. And that's a really simple way to do it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.